Welcome back to another episode of Clueless. Y'all, today we have a very special message. Today's message, if you're on this Christian journey, this life with Christ, you've either done this or are going to do it, or you've had questions about this. So this topic is very important. But before we get started, let's go ahead and introduce ourselves from my left to your guys' right.
Yo, what's up? It's Alex.
You already know me, Josh.
Alondra.
Hey, you know me, Papi Paul.
You already know. So today's message is we're gonna go ahead and talk about fasting. Honestly, we're gonna talk about what to do, what not to do. It's come to our attention that there's a lot of questions when it comes to fasting. There's a lot of concerns, and it's just because honestly, keeping it a buck has just been taught a little bit. I don't want to say wrong, but it's just been taught a little bit confusing, and you know, people get confused on this stuff. So we're definitely gonna go ahead and get started. Do you guys have anything to say about fasting? Like any questions you guys want to start off with? Like maybe some questions you guys have or have had in the past.
What's the process of fasting?
What's the process?
Yeah.
Do you know?
Oh, I was gonna ask a question.
Oh, ask the question too. Well, both of you ask the
You want to
question.
answer that one first, or
Ask it and then we'll kind of.
why should you fast, or why do you fast,
That's good.
or what reasons do you fast for?
Both those questions are amazing. This blend is amazing too. Both those questions are very important, and it's something that a lot of people deviate from, or they just say the bare minimum. You know what I'm saying? They say like for example, when you ask somebody like, "Oh, how do you lose weight?" They go, "Oh, go to the gym." That's the answer that a lot of people basically get. It's a very vague one, but there's more to it. There's like, okay, what do you eat? What do you work out? What do you do? There's so much. For yours, what are the steps? What are the process? What's the process?
Yeah, what's the process of fasting?
Well, first things first, you have to be in the presence of the Lord. You have to be meditating on the word day and night, 24/7. There cannot be a second, there cannot be a moment where you are not meditating on the word. There cannot be a moment where you are thinking about something else except for Christ. Like you have, that's the only process. You have to be in the word, meditating it. You have to be in it. That is what's going to get you closer to God. The step is, first you got to feel it through the Holy Spirit. You see, a lot of people want to plan it and be like, oh, we're going to stop eating. And they stop eating, but then during the day, they're still cussing out people. They're still flipping people off. Okay. Some are still committing adultery. Some are still doing this or like, you know, all this other stuff. And that's why, because they plan not to eat first. Though it is good not to eat, the first thing you should be planning is moving into the spirit realm. The first thing you should be planning is getting fed by the word, being in the spirit 24/7, and then the not eating comes after. Does that make sense?
Like being fed by the word, like just reading it?
Yes. So the same way you wake up and you're like, what am I going to eat for breakfast? Your first thought should not be that. Your first thought should be like, what word does God want me to eat today? Okay. What breakfast does God want to give me today in his holy Bible? What breakfast does God want to give me today? Does he want me to eat some scrambled eggs of Romans? Does he want me to eat some double eggs of boiled eggs of Luke? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. You start immediately hopping into the word, and that's what gets you fed. When you start to move in that, you start to notice that even if hunger wants to kick in, you're like, nah, I'm eating something, get better. You start to forget. It's almost like when you're going about your day, right? And sometimes you don't eat because you're doing so much that you forget. 100%. It's almost the same concept, that you're in the word so much that you forget to eat. It doesn't even cross your mind, or you brush it off. So I hope that answered that question. For yours, yours was
what reasons do you fast, or why should you?
There's only one reason for you to fast, ladies and gentlemen. Any other reason around this, I can tell you confidently, it is wrong. A lot of people want to fast for a car, or like they're going through something, they're like, okay, fast. They're like, well, fast for the house, fast for this. There's only one reason you should be fasting, and you've been taught wrong if it's anything other than this. The only reason to fast is to get closer to God. That is the only reason. The only reason to fast is for you to bring the presence of the Lord right here in front of you, so you could have that intimacy with the Lord face to face, so you can have an intimacy level that is beyond what you can imagine. This is why Moses was able to do it for 40 days and he came back shining, because he was in the presence face to face with the Lord. That is what fasting is for, to get close to it. And some of you guys may be like, well, this homie's tripping right here, like, because you're not used to hearing this. You're used to hearing the whole, like, oh, fasting is to, like, this can only be done through fasting. You hear all kinds of stuff. But we're going to go biblical right now. We're going to show you guys some facts, some proof of what's maneuvering with all this and why it's only to bring you closer to him and it's not for anything else. And we'll get more in detail with that. Another question that I kind of had that a lot of people have, I kind of forgot already, is temptation wise. Like, how do you move from that? And all that's going to be answered because let me tell you something, brothers and sisters. I'm about to say something that's going to knock a lot of you off your boots. You should not be getting tempted when you're fasting. If you're doing it right, there is no temptation. Just put it that way. If you're being tempted, you are 100% not, either something's going wrong or you're not fasting correctly. When you are fasting, you are not getting tempted. And we're going to talk right now. We're going to get into the Bible deep. Some of you guys are already like, hey, man, this guy's, that's trip out. Like, homie's tripping out because you're probably thinking Jesus was tempted. It says in the Bible that my people perish for lack of knowledge. That means we need to go back and reread what the word says and actually dissect it. Because when you are fasting, you do not get tempted. You know what I'm saying? If I had to describe maybe one temptation would be like, oh, when you're passing by McDonald's, and you're smelling it. Like, but even then,
that's a fleshly temptation.
Yeah, that's like a fleshy. You do not get tempted when you are fasting in a tremendous way. You do not get tempted. Not in the midst of fasting. You do not. Because you're so close to the presence of God. The enemy is not going to want to... brothers, he's going to want to go to the weakest link. He's not going to go to someone that's already at a level of... And we'll get more into it. Do you guys have any other questions? Because I know that one kind of tripped out a lot of people right now.
I don't have any questions. It's just more of the statements. More like statements. Like, yeah, you shouldn't be tempted because your temptations, we need to understand that they come from your deepest desires. They're not just something the devil just throws at you like that. You literally create them in your own head from your own desires, and they come out as a temptation. Something that you desired so deeply, that becomes your temptation.
So let me ask you guys something. Was Jesus tempted when he was fasting? Don't answer like the whole question. Just kind of give an answer and that's it. Don't answer. Alondra, what do you think? Say what you actually genuinely think. Like,
honestly, I've always thought yes, but if you really look into it, then I would say no. Just because like he was in the desert and the devil was like telling him a bunch of things. So before, I would definitely take that as like, oh, he was literally being tempted. Mm-hmm. And that's what everyone says too. Like the devil was tempting him, which is why he fought back with the word.
Wait,
what about you?
Wait, so do you believe it, or do you need more understanding of it to be able to say I 100% no or yes? Because right now it sounded so that I was like, no, she doesn't believe it yet.
No, I think I do need a little bit more understanding. Because before I would say yes, he was being tempted, but now I know it's not 100% yes. I just need a little bit more understanding on it to be like a certain answer.
Yeah.
Okay, so you fall in the category of you don't know them because.
She's in the middle in between yes and no.
What about you?
I would say...
Be honest though, like don't, just because we said it, like don't be like what is your genuine thought of it?
Obviously, I'm going to tell the truth, nothing but the truth. God doesn't like liars. Before I did think that he was like tempted, right? Mm-hmm. But now that I'm more educated, I understand that he wasn't tempted at all.
How do you understand that he wasn't tempted? I just want a little more
So while Jesus was fasting, he was not tempted.
I think we should read it first.
We're gonna read it first, yeah. But I just want to elaborate that while he was fasting, he was not tempted. So we're gonna go ahead and read it. Which one was it, Matthew? What?
1 through 10.
Okay. Check this out. Then Jesus was led up by the Spirit into the wilderness to be tempted by the devil. This is where it's like, bro, you see, you're a liar, Josh. Like, let's keep reading. And after fasting 40 days and 40 nights, he was hungry. And then the tempter came and said to him, "If you are the Son of God, command these stones to become loaves of bread."
Oh, dang.
Brothers and sisters, I don't know if you caught it. You didn't catch it, huh? Let me go ahead and slow it down for you. Because some people didn't catch it in there.
Rewind.
Because they probably thought, well, he was tempted. Listen to what it says. And after fasting,
Okay. Yeah.
so his fasting was already done. His fasting was terminated. It was done. He finished it. The 40 days were done. It says it clear here. And after fasting 40 days and 40 nights, he was hungry. That falls under that too. That was another question of mine. Do you guys get hungry when you're fasting? I don't know about you guys, but I do not get hungry when I'm fasting. When you're actually in the presence of God, you do not get hungry. If you're getting hungry, we're going to shift that up a little bit, because I know by testimony, by me experiencing it 100%, and we'll get more into it. But it continues to say, and he was hungry, and the tempter came. So why did the tempter come after he was on fasting? Why didn't he come while he was fasting?
Because he was so deep in the spirit.
Because he was so deep in the spirit.
It was deep, and the most vulnerable parts are after the fast.
Wow.
Because it's broken, as in, like, you're already thinking of something else.
When you're, brothers and sisters, when you're this close to God, when you're fasting, that's how it should be. When you're fasting, you should be in the presence where you're this close. You're this close to Him. You're talking intimacy. This is what Moses did. That's the level that you are in when it comes to you fasting. You really think the enemy is going to want to come close to you when Jesus Himself is this close to you?
Oh, hey.
Brothers, come on. It's using a little bit of logic as well. When you are this close to the Lord, the enemy is not getting close. There's no way that the enemy can fool you or any of his plans. He knows that. The devil's not dumb either. Us Christians, we want to take the devil as this dumb person. Like, nah, bro. He ain't thinking like we thinking. Like, he knows stuff, you know, whether you want to admit it or not.
He's an angel.
He was an angel. Like, if you want, whether you believe it or not, he's strong. He has power. He knows how to maneuver and stuff. He knows secrets. He knows how to maneuver.
Like, even he knows the Bible.
Yeah. So what is that? What am I trying to get at? When you're that close to God, He's gonna know, like, oh, there's no way of breaking this food. Jesus is right there, right next to him. Like, there's no way of breaking him right now. He's going to wait till after you're done, out of the presence, when you kind of slip a little bit and you're already out of it. Does that make sense? The Bible here says it clear, and I feel like I need to repeat it for some of you people again, because some of y'all are tripping out right now. I encourage you guys to go back to the Bible. It says Matthew chapter 4, 1 through 3. But we're going to go ahead and just read 2 and 3. And after fasting 40 days and 40 nights, so it's saying it clear after, past.
Yeah.
That's the bird. It's saying it after. He was already done. He was already finished. It doesn't say while he was fasting, the enemy came and started to. No. Do not misinterpret it. Do you guys have any questions now that I said that? Is there any comments, any concerns that you guys?
Nah, not at this point. No. Nah.
No, but it just makes so much sense now. It's like
So-
little details that goes so unnoticed in there.
That's the problem. Man. People perish for lack of knowledge, and a lot of people in this generation are like parrots. Like, we hear something and we repeat it, and it sounds good and it sounds pleasing to the ear, and we continue to move like that, not truly knowing what the word is actually trying to say. God already gave us a warning. He already told us that we will perish for a lack of knowledge. This is the knowledge that He was talking about. So let me ask you, why are people always getting hungry while they're fasting? Why are people always getting tempted while they are fasting?
Their flesh. I would say their flesh,
But Jesus had flesh too.
But like you said, He was so deep within the spirit that His flesh didn't even exist.
So what was he doing? What was he doing?
What was He doing? Feeding Himself with the word.
There was something else, though.
I wouldn't have a clue.
Where was his soul attached?
Where was his soul attached? To God, right? Or to the word?
To his spirit, and not the flesh.
Spirit is willing, flesh is
Because
weak.
when your soul is attached to the flesh, you get the desires of the flesh. And you go more towards the flesh. You want to do what the flesh wants. When your soul is attached more to your spirit, you start to pull from that. Your body only wants, your soul only wants from the spirit. When it's so close to your spirit and it's so attached to it, all it wants is from the spirit.
Mm.
And what are you doing in the spirit? You're being fed spiritually. So that means you're eating and you're eating and you're eating.
So why do you think
We get hungry.
why do we get hungry and why are we getting tempted right now through while we are fasting?
Because we're not in his presence.
Okay, I love it. That was actually a really tremendous one right there. Boom. That was good. I definitely agree with you 100%. For short terms, they're doing it wrong. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong that you've been doing it wrong, because that's exactly how you were taught. But to the mercy of Christ, I believe that right now he is spreading this message so that every single one of you who is listening can properly know how to fast and do it correctly. Because it might sound crazy, but the more at a testimony, the more I learned more about this, it became harder but also easier. It became easier in the sense of not being hungry, but it became harder because there are certain things that you have to do that are just not normal for us to do throughout the day. It's just very difficult because we have work, we have jobs, gym, we do all this stuff. So it's a little difficult incorporating what we need to do in order to not get hungry.
The worldly distractions, basically.
Yeah. So yeah, and that's a big reason why a lot of people are being tempted during this time. It's because they're not in the presence of God. They're not maneuvering. They think they are because they're reading the Bible. They think they are because they're listening to worship music when they go to work. They think they are because at lunch they're reading their Bible. But that's not all it takes. Those are good stuff. I applaud you for that. Those are very good stuff. And in the moment while you're doing that, you are in the presence of the Lord. But the thing is, once you're out of that, that's when the enemy comes in. That's why it's very important to stay 24/7 when you are fasting, whether it's an hour or two. That hour, 60 minutes, those 60 minutes, you have to be in the presence of God. There cannot be 1 minute when you are out. This is why sometimes I encourage people to separate themselves from the world, go to the mountains, go to a motel, and just throw away your phone and just stay there and ignore everything and fast. Because just by you passing by McDonald's and you smell it and you start thinking something, you're already out of the presence of God. If you were, and this is what a lot of Christians do, they plan to fast, and guess what? They're already, while they're fasting, they're like, oh man, fasting is going good, I'm being strong. It's like, okay, that's cool, but you're over here talking about like, oh, what are we gonna eat tonight? We should all hit McDonald's, we should all hit In-N-Out, we should all hit Toppers, we should already, you're already planning what to do to celebrate to eat that, and already there you are out of the presence of God. You cannot sit here and tell me that you're thinking about Toppers and God at the same time. There could only be one. You could only love one or the other. This doesn't just apply with money. You could only love one or the other. Either you're falling in love with Toppers and you're kind of thinking about it too much, or you're in love desperately with God. And let me tell you something from experience. When you are desperately in love with God and you're fasting, when Toppers tries to present itself, you kick it out and you're like, nah, I don't need Toppers. I'm getting fed by something else. That's exactly what Jesus did to his disciples. Like, I'm eating the food that you guys can't eat yet.
Let me ask you guys this. Do you guys think you guys could go 40 days fasting?
Us personally, if we can do it,
Like people in this generation. Yeah.
you can. There are people
Jesus
that
did it. Why can't we do it?
yeah. There are
So we
people
can
that
do what
try
he
doing
did
it and they
more.
die. People have tried doing it for like 2 or 3 weeks and they die. Why? Because they weren't in the presence. They think they were in the presence. They think they were in there. In some moments they were, but you were not 24/7. And you enter into a desert where you were not ready to enter. You went in without. That's the thing. A lot of people want to jump in and go to battle on things that you're not supposed to be going to battle yet. You're jumping in not knowing exactly where you're jumped in. This is why Jesus told his disciples, pray so you don't fall into temptation. Because while Jesus was there, he saw the tremendous things that were out there. He saw, and he knew we weren't going to be ready. Does that make sense?
Yeah, 100%.
That 40 days is not easy, bro, but through Christ it is easy.
Yeah, Philippians 4:13.
Because he didn't get hungry until what? Until his fasting was done.
Philippians 4:13. I can
do all things through him who strengthens me.
Yeah.
Let's go, baby. Let's go. So that's why I'm saying it's very important to stay in the presence of God. If you start to think of what you're eating out, I guarantee you're already out of the presence of God. You are out. I don't care what anyone tells you. I don't care if it's someone who's been at church for 40 years. If you are thinking, or they are thinking of what they're going to eat after a night, they are wrong. They are out of the presence of God. I know you haven't been told this. I know no one's ever stood boldly and said it to you guys or to them, but you guys are in the wrong right there. But guess what? You could always run yourself back and be like, hey, you know what? No. The whole purpose of this is to deny your fleshly desires as well. Fasting is to murder yourself, to kill yourself, to get closer to the presence of God. When you get closer to the presence of God, you push away those fleshly desires, and that helps you for the future when lust wants to come in. You're so used to already killing your body that when lust presents itself, that when cursing someone presents itself, that when hating someone presents itself, you kick it off because you're so used to brushing it off. Does that make sense? Sometimes when you're playing a sport, you do stuff and it's so muscle memory because you do it so much that it's just a habit. Does that make sense? And it's the same way when you're fasting. It becomes such a habit for you to be like, you're kicking off every fleshly desire. It becomes a habit of you just denying your flesh of food. It becomes such a habit of you being in the presence that guess what? Little did you know that the more you do it, it just becomes a 24/7 every single day when you're in the presence. Even if you're eating, where you're just so in the presence of God and it just advances. And then lustful things appear and then you brush them off. It's tremendous, brothers.
Yeah, like for me, it was like 2 days ago. I was like, I didn't even think about fasting. You know, I just went in my day, started reading the Word. I'm like, I'm not even hungry. You know, like let's go. You know, it's time. Let's do it. And throughout my day, it was cool. You know, I didn't know that you can't tell nobody that that you're fasting immediately, that you're out of the spirit. So I felt when I was at work, and I told my boss like, nah, I don't want none. I'm fasting. So but yeah, like what they're saying, like you're so deep within the spirit that none of these fleshly things like attach to you. Like I was literally going out about my day, doing my everyday stuff and just walking in the spirit, praying, worshiping. It was good, man. It was good.
No, I'm just thinking how crazy this whole topic is going. Just thinking about earlier.
I know, right?
I was talking to Ever, not exactly about fasting. A little topic came about fasting, but everything that I was talking to him about, in a sense, was almost fasting.
I saw him today at school.
I saw him after the gym and we talked. We talked for a while. That's what I was talking to him about. Some of it was fasting and everything. How we have the mind of Christ. How we need to be thinking of Christ and everything. And it's so crazy how we can have the mind of Christ all day, every day. If you're in the spirit, so good with God. Everything's so good in the presence of Him. But and then it's so crazy how it also says in the Bible how it says that we live in this world, but we're not of this world.
Yep.
Yes, we have the mind of Christ. That means that we get so consumed by the world that it's like our mind stops being the mind of Christ and it turns into the mind of the world.
It's adaptions that come into our mind.
So it's like if you're moving around in the world too much and you're not like thinking of God, you're not meditating on His Word, it's like your mind almost forgets that it's the mind of Christ.
Yep.
That you have to hop back into it.
It's crazy because God cursed the world, not Adam and Eve, you know. So that means the world is gonna try to come and curse us while we're in the fast, you know.
That's a secret there. We won't get too much into it, but
It's just good that
there's a secret there with Adam and Eve.
we can't be cursed though.
And right now, I want to get into the whole, like, what do you mean that it's to get closer to God and not to get anything? I think that's the biggest misconception in this world. Oh, pastor, leader, I'm trying to get this car, but I don't know. Have you fasted about it?
I've been
Did you
praying. I've been
fast?
praying.
Like, did you
What are you
fast?
doing? Did you
It's like,
fast
bro,
to get
where
the
did
answer?
where did you get that? Like, where did you get that you need to fast in order
Wikipedia.
to get that? Do not misinterpret me.
Yeah, Wikipedia.
The thing with fasting is if you're going into fasting thinking of like a car or something, guess what? You're leaning on that car and you're not leaning on God. It's to seek the kingdom of heaven and all its righteousness, and everything else will fall apart. If you're looking at the car and you're like, this is the one I want, I'm going to fast. You're going in there already wanting, like, you're going to go in there already thinking of the car in the sense of like, you're leaning on that and not on Christ. The whole purpose of fasting is to get closer with Him, to have intimacy. Yes, some things will be answered in there because you're so intimate with Him that you're at a level that's just tremendous, that you start to like, you know, you start to get like answers that are just crazy. You know, God starts to actually talk to you. He starts to show you things. He starts to envision. He starts to show you certain secrets that you need to do in order to maneuver to get that. Maybe He does that, but a lot of you are kind of doing it as if He is a genie. Like, did you fast? Like what? I hear that somebody, did you fast for it? Like, who told you that? Who put that in your head that? Oh, did you fast? Like what?
That's blasphemy.
So is the prayer not strong enough or what? Maybe you're not praying strong enough then. Maybe the prayer something's going wrong there. Why are people directing you to go fast? Don't misinterpret me. Fasting is very good and very important. But a lot of people are teaching in the sense of like if God's a genie, like hey, go fast so you can get it. You want that house, you need to go fast. That's incorrect. Fasting has never been about that. It's been about intimacy. And I want to go ahead and hop in biblically. Can you go ahead and read that for me, Alana?
It is Matthew 9:14. Then John's disciples came and asked him, "How is it that we and the Pharisees fast often, but your disciples do not fast?" Jesus answered, "How can the guests of the bridegroom mourn while he is with them? The time will come when the bridegroom will be taken from them, then they will fast. No one sews a patch of unshrunk cloth on an old garment, for the patch will pull away from the garment, making the tear worse. Neither do people pour new wine into old wineskins. If they do, the skins will burst, the wine will run out, and the wineskins will be ruined. No, they pour new wine into new wineskins, and both are preserved."
So what do you guys think Jesus was trying to say there? Like, why did Jesus go on this tantrum? That whole thing right there. What was the whole purpose of all that?
I don't know. Something that came into my mind is like, all right, so you're feeding yourself with something that is new, right? But if you pour something old into it, like with the wineskin, it's gonna burst out. Like you're gonna let that spirit, the fasting that you're in, the connection in the spirit that you're in, the food that you were getting fed, it's gonna spoil. Like I don't know. That's
Okay, I get what you're trying to say.
I would say yes, only because I'm understanding what you're saying.
yeah.
Just because I'm understanding it, but I'm not sure if everyone else would understand it. But because there's also a parable that talks about like flour. How
About
you put
blossoming?
if some of the dough is already bad, whether you put more in, the rest of it is just gonna go bad, no matter how much more new you put into it. So that's why I'm able to understand what you're saying.
To me, it's like a yes and a no.
How would you elaborate it?
Because that would be opening the door to like other stuff, and like I said, fasting is for one reason and one reason only. It's just to get closer to God.
Of course.
But we'll answer that. We'll get to that too. What about you, Alana? From this, why did Jesus go on this tantrum when it comes to that?
Okay, so when it comes to sewing cloth in an old garment and the wineskins thing, I never fully understood this verse. Like I've always had trouble understanding this part. But like the first half, how is it the Pharisees fast often, but your disciples do not fast? So the disciples were already with Jesus. So it's like in that case, like you could say they're already in his presence, like Jesus was literally with them, versus when Jesus wasn't with them anymore, that's when they had to fast in order to get into his presence.
That is 100% correct. That is the only reason why, brothers and sisters. It says it right there. A bride. What does it say? A bride does not mourn the groom does not mourn the bride.
How can the guests of the bridegroom mourn while he is with them?
He was implying that he was with the disciples right there in that moment, so there was no reason for them to fast. And if we continue to read more later on, there's another verse, or it says later on, but there will be a time where you do fast. He told them there will be a time where you will fast, and that was a time when he was going to be gone. And the whole purpose of it was to get him closer to you, to bring him to you. They were already there next to him. There was no need. If they had questions, they can already ask him there, and he could give them the answers. If they had doubts, they can ask him there because he was there. If they had any insecurities, they can already ask him there. If they need healing, everything, he was already there. There was no need to fast because he was already there. That's why I'm trying to say the whole purpose of fasting is not to get stuff, but it's but rather to get closer to him, to get into that intimacy level with him. And through that, you could ask him stuff. Through that, you can find secrets. Through that, you can maneuver in the spirit. But the whole purpose, as it is saying there, is to bring him closer to you, to bring him down.
Yeah, and in Esther chapter 4, 15, 16, it says, Esther instructs the Jews to fast and pray to seek God's favor and guidance.
To get closer,
Yeah.
to bring him. That's the brothers and sisters. I'm telling you, that's the only reason. That's the only way you should be fasting. That is the only reason why you should be fasting, and it's to get closer to the presence of the Lord, to bring Him upon you. If you're maneuvering in any other way, that is why probably you're getting hungry. That is why probably temptation is appearing to you while you're doing that. That is why probably you're out there cussing, doing stuff, failing, sinning while you are in the presence of fasting. You cannot maneuver like that. The reason why a lot of people are confused is because they read that chapter where it says this could only be taken out through prayer and fasting. Hello, I'm about to give you guys a secret. Go to the Aramaic and read that again, and you will see that fasting does not exist in there. That is the only verse that does not have any biblical backup. If you read one chapter, maybe down the line, couple chapters more, or a different book will kind of back up what that one was trying to say. That's what the Bible is all about. You notice it backs each other up. That is the only verse that has no backup. Because why would Jesus tell his disciples you could only take this out through prayer and fasting, but yet he's telling them you don't have to fast right now, but one day when I'm gone you will? Why is he telling them that they don't need to fast? It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't correlate. And then if you go into the Greek, you start to realize that they added fasting in the Bible, that it wasn't incorporated in the original. They added it because they wanted to sound good. And anyone who tells you otherwise is probably on a la-la land right now, and they're being naive. Do not be naive, brothers and sisters, because the Bible itself has given us a warning. Beware of those who take away and add to the Bible. That means it was going to happen. Someone was going to add and someone was going to take away. It's already a warning. So if you're over here right, no, that's not true. That's not true. That's you being naive and not believing in God and believing in the word that He said that people can add and take away. So that shows me that you should probably go replenish yourself and go and be like, okay, I'm not going to be naive. God did warn us that they would take it away. Let me go investigate. Let me hop into the word. Seek and you will find. This is why the Bible says my people perish for lack of knowledge, because you don't want to find that knowledge, because you're too afraid of actually admitting and not being naive in the fact of like there is some stuff that was taken. And this isn't to bring down the Bible. The Bible is still the truth, the way, and the life. This right here is still like the bread and butter. This is what's going to get you through everything, with Christ, of course. But that verse has misinterpreted so many people, and this is why people be like, did you fast for the car? Did you fast for the house? It's like, no, I don't do that. What I do is I fast so I can get closer to God. Because what better way to do anything than to just be closer to Abba, to the Father, to the King of Kings. Screw the house. I never talk like that. Screw the house. Screw the car. Screw everything. I just want to be in the presence of God. That shows me, do you really want to be in the presence of God, or do you just want that car? So where is your fleshly desire, actually? You see, we talk about all this prosperity and blessings, and you Christians burst it off because you're too scared and you're being so naive, you're being fools like that. But then when you're fasting, you're fasting for a car. So where you at? Two houses that aren't in line cannot add up. I don't know about you guys. Screw the car, screw the house, screw the kids, screw the family, screw the parents, screw everything. I just want to be in the present. I don't want to say screw. I rebuke those words. I apologize. Maybe I should say forget that. Forget them. I just want to be in the presence of my Father, of Abba, the King of Kings, the Lord of Lords. I just want to get in the presence with Him and just fall on my knees and be like, Father, let me worship You. Let me just bow down to You, because You are the God that created me. You see, that is when your mentality starts to shift. That itself already is showing you like, wow, he's going into the presence of God like tremendously, you know? And that's how you start avoiding getting hungry. That's how you start avoiding temptation while you're fasting. I don't know if you guys have any questions or comments.
Fasting is very humbling. It really helps you acknowledge like a lot of things that are going through your life, and it really acknowledges how close God is to you. He lives within you guys. So if I don't know, it's so humbling, you know. It's good. Even David fasted too, just to acknowledge like everything that he went through to get more closer. He was mourning, weeping, and
Psalms is all about just almost worshiping God and just praising Him, and just commanding his soul and his body, and commanding everything just to praise the King of Kings. Like Psalms is just basically almost that.
I've been reading that lately. Every time before I go to sleep, I put in order. So it's like right now I'm at 43. So whenever I go to sleep, it always correlates to what I'm thinking.
Psalms
so good.
Like it's almost basically Psalms. Like I said, it's almost basically all everything to just get intimate with the Lord.
It's reading your mind too.
Yeah, it's tremendous. And I want to ask you guys something then. When you guys are fasting, what are some of the process that you go? Today, I kind of want to give I don't want to give away. Today, I want to give you guys a little bit of the pros of mine. Today, normally I don't like to throw pros anymore, but I'm going to give you the secrets of what I do as a testimony. Brothers, it may not seem crazy to some people, but I've gone a week without eating. I say it as a testimony. I've done it where I've gone a week without eating. No pain in my stomach, no nothing. And this is while I was in the military, jumping out of planes, running with a lot of equipment in my back. Things that will cause you to be hungry because you need to eat in order to replenish your body. So the world says. So while doing all that, I still went a week without eating. But the question is how? Why? Secondly, what always happens is when you're coming towards the end, you start to notice that you do get hungry. When you're already coming to the end of your fast, you start to notice that that's when like the hunger almost starts to kick in. It's almost like your body already knows that it's coming to an end. It's almost like the spirit realm is already shifting, and it's like you're coming to an end. It already knows it. And I know some of you guys have probably experienced it, but what do you guys do then while you are fasting? What is your process while you guys are fasting right now?
Like in what sense?
Like, what do you do in your head? I know you say you worship and you pray, okay, but what goes in your mind during prayer? Like, is there something specific that you constantly pray for to stay in the presence? Or would you guys like me to go first to kind of give an example?
Yeah, I would say.
I could talk about it too.
Alright, go ahead.
Well, it's weird because I haven't done a fast in a while. I would do a fast more when I used to work in my other job. I would do like a merchandiser type of job where I wouldn't talk to no one. Literally no one, bro. My boss wasn't there. I would text my boss, so I wouldn't have to answer to nobody. Honestly, for me, I would just be talking to God mostly all day. If I wanted to have conversations, I'd be talking to God. I was just listening to gospel music and just be thinking about God. It's like I was in the spirit realm without even knowing I was in the spirit realm. It was weird because at the time I still didn't fully know about the spirit realm that much. I didn't know about how I was maneuvering around in there, though I was doing it. It was so crazy. Right now, literally, I'm going back at it in my own brain right now. I was in the spirit realm without even knowing it. It's so crazy. And it's like, and I would also listen to Kissinger a lot. Even though most people don't know who he is, but I would listen to him a lot, bro. Like literally, like my whole day was filled with just listening to that one. And I was like, dang. So it's like new revelations after revelation. It felt like I was so close to God, bro.
How long did you go? How long did you
For the fasting?
Yeah.
Sometimes I would go a couple days. Sometimes like 3 days, mainly max, because it'll be Monday, Tuesday, and then Wednesday. But Wednesday night is when I would break it. Wednesday, and that was after youth group.
Okay.
Because I knew
You're gonna get some grub.
I knew I was gonna grub when I was gonna go into youth group. I knew, bro, I was gonna eat. I was like, cause I did it one time, bro. And after I did it once, I was like, bro, this is insane. I don't even know, like, it's like you're on another level with God, bro. It's like another, like, you just can't explain it at some point, bro. Like, you're so deep in there. And for me, it hit me, bro. I was like, whoa, if it's really like this, I think I'm gonna do it every week type of thing.
And one thing I kind of want to clarify, it's not even a race. It's not even about how long you can go, brothers and sisters. Do not go in thinking that, because even the Lord spoke to me today and he was like, it doesn't matter if you cut it today, as long as you're in the presence with me, that is what matters. As long as you're in deep, you can do it for one day. And if you're in one day and you're just like deep in the presence, and that's all you can do, be like, okay, one day, all right, Father, I'm going to work on it. Eventually, brothers and sisters, it doesn't become a task. It becomes just something like, all right, you just hop in it. Like, you don't even have to prepare for it. That's the thing. A lot of Christians want to prepare for it. It's almost like they want to plot it and plan it. It's like, no. Eventually, it just starts getting to the point where it just starts to flow, where you just wake up and you're like, you know what? Today, I'm just going to do it. And sometimes you don't even put a day, or you'll be like, I'll do it for 3 days.
It's kind of like moment.
Yeah, it's almost like a spur in the moment, because you're in the presence of God. It becomes a habit. So even if you're starting off with 1 day, half a day, it doesn't matter. It's almost like a prayer. You could do 5 minutes, or you could do an hour. The 5 minutes can get the same results as an hour. It's just how you activate and how you maneuver.
What's it called?
So do not get it twisted.
That's actually true. I don't know, because for me, that's how I see things with God. I don't really like to plan things.
More just happens.
I just like to just spur the moment, especially like fasting, even praying, bro. I don't know why. For me personally, I believe that people shouldn't go around thinking, this is how I'm going to pray, this and that. Like, you're already doing the prayer in your own head before you do the prayer. So it's like you do the prayer and then you come out later and you do the prayer again. And to me, like, this is a revelation that kind of hit me one time. When you do that, to me, it's like when Jesus said, do not be like these hypocrites and be babbling on. You're saying the same thing over and over again. In a sense, you did the same prayer twice in one day. And already, in a sense, you're doubting God that the first prayer wasn't good enough. You prayed already once in your head. You did it. You prayed. Then you came again and you prayed for the exact same thing. So in a sense, you didn't believe God for the first one. Now you have to do it again to try to believe him again. But it just kind of null and voids the whole thing, you know. That's why I don't, for me personally, this is not for everyone, you know. It's just a revelation for me. I personally believe that most things should really be done spur in the moment, you know.
Yeah.
The Holy Spirit moves at whatever he wants to move. Why do you even think when you hear preachers, when you hear pastors, when they say, I had this class to give, but then the Holy Spirit spoke to me and he changed it for me in the last minute. Sometimes they come into the stage, bro, without nothing, and they're going on the flow of the Holy Spirit.
I've done that on Fridays, dude.
And that goes to show.
I've done that on Fridays where, like, I had or in the sense of, like, I have the topic of what I want to talk about. I have no game plan, and I sit there and then boom, it just starts to flow.
Yes.
And that goes to show how the Holy Spirit just moves, bro. Like, just it can change your whole plans like that, like quick.
Yeah, same thing with me. Like, when I did it on, like, I didn't even think about it. It was Sunday, right after, like, I went home. I went to the cross. I was like, you know what? That was my stomach. I was just like so like joyful. My mind was clear. And I didn't even think of like fasting. I just went about my day the next day. I did like 24 hours without eating. But like I said, like nothing came to my mind about eating until I was like, I went into the kitchen. I was like, that's when I knew it was already like shifting off. Because I woke up and immediately I smelled food. I'm like, oh, okay, let me go in the kitchen. No.
That's why sometimes it's very important, like, I always recommend to separate yourself from everything. Like I said, get a hotel and just stay there where there'll be no distractions or nothing, where there'll be no smelling. Because one thing that I do, and again, you can maneuver in your own way. This is just what I do. These are just testimonies of what works for me, and how I've gotten through that time. One, like you said, being in the presence of the Lord. Brothers, when you are meditating in the Word, it's not literally just you reading the Bible. I think that's where a lot of people have it mistakenly. So they say, like, but I'm at work, I can't read the Bible. It's not just about that. It's being in the presence of the Lord. It's imagining certain things. When you're in this, that's why we say everything runs through your imagination. Everything is in your mind. So you could be imagining walking next to angels. One thing that I was doing last time that I was fasting was I was walking, and then I'm walking in, and I'm looking to my side, and I'm like, it's almost like I'm seeing Jesus, and he's like smiling. He goes like that, and I see angels, and then I'm just walking. I see myself, and I'm on fire. I'm like, dang, bro, like I'm on fire. I'm talking to them, and they're like, yeah, you are. Some of you might be thinking like, oh, God's not gonna talk to you like that. Like, bro, like it's like a friendship, like a brother, like a father. And I'm there like, dang, I'm on fire. And he's like, yeah, you are. And then you just start walking. And then I start like imagining almost like if people start to see me fire and like demons like they start running away. That itself is not. You're not literally reading the word, but you're in the spirit realm and you are with God. That is, I guarantee you, that is how Moses did it, because Moses was top G when it comes to meditating.
You're living out the word.
Yeah, and that's exactly how I'm walking. Guess what? Sometimes too, like someone cuts me off, or like last time some lady was kind of on the road in the parking lot, like on the stop, and she was like, I'm sorry, and I was like, hey, relax. It's okay, I can go around. It works. And then I looked to my side and I'm like, you see that, Jesus? I used to never do that. Like, I'm proud of myself. Like, I'm moving more in the spirit. Just talking to him like that, already there, you're in the spirit realm, because you're imagining the Lord and you're talking to him. You're like, wow, like this is tremendous. I'm moving in a more joyful way. Like I'm seeing people with your love. That's how I do it. I talk to God like that. I start to maneuver the whole day. The whole day I try to do that. I'm driving and I envision him, and then there's times where I get into deep worship, deep prayer that I do, where I'm just in there and I'm imagining, I'm shaking, and I'm just in his presence. That one is good too. But obviously you can't do that 24/7. You can't do that at work. So your mind, your imagination is what's going to get you, and you start to notice that you're not hungry. You start to notice that you are truly in the presence of God. What else do? Yeah, that's basically what I do. I maneuver in it. Sometimes I imagine, like if I'm with Moses and we're parting the sea together, you know, all those little things, you are in the spirit realm and you are digesting the word, even if it's not literally word for word. Another thing that I do is I imagine myself. Sometimes you can imagine yourself preaching to people. You imagine yourself putting your hands and people shaking and falling. You imagine that you're like screaming and preaching. You're imagining rebuking demons. There are times where I'm in the presence and I'm imagining when I'm walking in the grocery or something that I'm rebuking demons and people are like starting to flow and I'm just like, orale, like I rebuke you. That's in the presence of God, ladies and gentlemen. That is self. You're next to the Father. Like I cannot emphasize it enough. If you do this, if you move the way I'm telling you, if you move like that, you will be in the presence of God, and I guarantee you, you will not get hungry. I guarantee you that a day will go by, and you're gonna be like, "Huh, my stomach doesn't hurt. Huh, I'm not hungry." You know, like at the end, you'll probably finish it, and then you'll eat. But
I'm telling you, I don't think most people are really like all that.
They're
Right,
not
all
taught
that
this.
right there.
they're not taught this. That's why they're taught honestly, like not incorrectly, but they're not taught to the full extent. They're taught with milk, and they're not taught. They're
Yeah.
not taught with solid
I
milk.
just know that right now, I know most people didn't catch what you just said. Everything,
Oh, no, they didn't.
even though I did.
No.
You guys need to understand. When he's saying that stuff, you're living out the word, like literally. He said he was on fire, walking around, and the demons, they looked away, like they couldn't. They had to run away. What does the word say? Though I walk through the shadow of the valley of death, and I will fear no evil. The evil ran away. What does he say? 10,000 will fall to my left, 10,000 will fall to my right. What is he doing? They're fleeing from him. Right there, he's living out the word. 2, he says, the Lord will follow me where I go. He goes where I go. Right there, when he said, the Lord was looking at me and he smiled. And he's like, yeah. Right there, you're literally living out the word through the spirit realm with that understanding.
Yeah.
That that's what you're doing. That right there, like
and
I
when
don't think people
when
really
it comes
comprehend it.
comes from me getting answers, like you guys are going over there trying to get answers. When it comes to that typically happens when I'm in a full on worship with him. When I'm in a full on in my knees presence with him. Cause like for example, he'll say I want a house, right? He'll pick me up. He says, "Why are you on your knees?" And he says, "Come, let me show you something." And then I don't know where you start to go into the house that you're envisioning or that you want, and he tells you step all over it. Or I want you to go step all over it. Why? Because Deuteronomy says that everything, that wherever the plan of your feet step, it will be your land. That will be your land. So what is happening? God is walking me through where he is saying, don't worry, I got you. And he's saying, go walk in this land right now because that land will be yours. So now you're in the spirit realm and he's giving you stuff. But you cannot get there because your mind does not allow you to expand, because all you're thinking of is, what am I going to eat tonight? All you're thinking of is another person. Bro, when last time I fasted, a girl would pass by and I'd be like, nope. And it didn't faze me. A girl that I thought was cute was texting me. It didn't even dawn to me like it normally would. And it didn't even dawn to me. I even said, oh Lord, I'm not even thinking about her like that. Like, oh wow, she's beautiful or gorgeous. It didn't dawn to me. I just talked to her regular. Why? Because temptation does not come to you when you are fasting. When you're in the presence of God, it does not. I tell you this by testimony. If anybody else tells you otherwise, guess what? They're steering you wrong. Guess what? You're going to keep being in temptation. You're never going to get to the point where you can fast up to like 2 weeks or 3 weeks. You will never get to that point. You won't even get to the point of 1 week. And I know it's not about that, but you will not even be able to finish one day without you being like, oh, my stomach, or all this other stuff that happens to the world.
I love it because the whole Moses thing, it has been hitting me since like yesterday. That's why even today in the morning prayer, that's why I was even talking about it, bro. Because when you were praying about it, I always put the volume down. On the prophecy, I love doing the prophecies too, so I'll put the volume down and I do it on my own. I'm already there, just like doing it, and I was already talking like that. It's like lately I've been almost hearing the Lord say like, "Why are you coming to me? Why are you coming to me when I've given you all authority? I've given you the power. Like, I've given it to you. Why are you coming to me?" Like, that's what I've been hearing lately, bro. I'm not going to lie to you. Even today in the morning prayer, that's what I was hearing. Like, I wanted to tell all of you guys, this is what the Lord is saying. Why are you coming to me? ¿Por qué me clamas a mí? Didn't I not give it to you? That's why I even said, you guys, like, lift up your hands. Because, like, I was thinking literally, like, I was there with Moses too, like, lifting up the staff, like, bro, like in your mind you can talk, like, bro, it's so crazy. Even how he was saying right now that wherever the palmas of your feet, where your feet touch the ground, it will be yours. You need to be that is literal. That is literal. I mean, Literally, the angel of the Lord told Moses, take off your sandals because where you are stepping is holy land.
Dude, Moses was so deep in the spirit that he even wrote about his death before he was even dead. Like, that's...
We won't get too much into that one. That's another secret. I said the only question I will leave you guys is how did he write all 5 books if he wasn't in the past? How did
he know about Adam and Eve?
He was living in Exodus. How did he write about Genesis? But we won't get too much into it because people are gonna be like, "Well, God told him." It's like, nah, bro. That's not what
You
went
guys
down.
gotta fast like blenders, fresh, quick, nutritious, and delicious.
This is sponsors.
Where'd you get that? Well, Google.
Nah, but if you follow these steps, if you do that, brothers and sisters, that if you get into the mind of your imagination, you start. That is how you go throughout the day. I understand you can't pray and get on your knees at work and stuff, but you can be in your imagination, in your head. You don't think God already planned all this out? He knew that in the future there was going to be jobs and stuff. That's how you do it. That's how you maneuver. And it doesn't necessarily have to be like I said, those who are well have no need of physical, but those who are sick, no. That's if you're doing that, someone's teaching you just strictly Bible, you need to run. If someone's just reading off the Bible and just teaching you just like that, strictly Bible, run from there, get out of there, because the devil knows the Bible too. So ultimately, you're not getting anything there. You need to move in a different realm. You need to imagine. You need to see yourself walking with angels. I don't care how you imagine them. Imagine yourself leaning there. Sometimes I see the Lord and we're sitting on a bench in the most tremendous place, like a bench. Like, what a weird spot. Wow, it's kind of dawning to me, like, why a bench? Like, we're sitting on a bench and we're kind of just chilling. There's times where we're dancing, like we're hugging, but like we're dancing. Like, it's so weird. It's tremendous. Like, when you start to imagine like that, it's not, you're not reading off the word, but you're in the presence of God. I'm telling you, that is the spirit realm. I promise you, if you try this, you're going to see how you're going to last a little longer than what you normally do. If you want to put it to the test, go ahead and do it. You lose nothing. Honestly, you gain a lot, but you lose nothing. Try it your way. Time it if you want. Be like, oh man, I only lasted an hour before I started thinking of food. And then try it this way, where you wake up and you're already in the imagination with God. Every step that you go, everywhere you walk, you're just in the presence. You're going to notice that you're going to last maybe even like 20 minutes more than what you did last week. And that's fine. 20 minutes more is more in the presence of God. You know what I'm saying?
It's crazy. This is true This is like, these are key points to true meditation with God. It's just so crazy, bro. So much in my life. So much, bro. I can't even think back. People have thought that meditating is just reciting the word over and over and over and over. And I'm like, wait, what are you doing? We just put a boombox, bro, record yourself and just keep playing it, bro, and let it play out. Like, it's like, bro, that is not what it is, bro. Like,
it's because all the people that say in churches, like, it's meditating on the word. Like, you have to meditate on the word and regurgitate it. Like, that's the only thing they say. And it's like, all right, man, well, we need to get more in depth. Like, how do I make it to... And the crazy thing is, nobody's going to believe that you don't get hungry. I guarantee you they've never been in the spirit realm then when they're fasting 100%. If somebody tells you that they're hungry, I guarantee you 100% that those people think about what they're going to eat in the future. Those people actually are around people who are eating. Those people are probably on their phone still, on Instagram. They read the word, but they're still on their phone. Those people do not ignore things. They're just kind of still everywhere. And they have God. Yeah, I'm not saying they're not, but... they're just maneuvering in a different way that's not to the full potential. They're doing it good in a sense, but they're not going to the full potential. And we want everyone to reach the full potential with Christ. If they're telling you that, oh no, temptation is going to happen to you, chances are that those people are not in the spirit realm. They're not moving with God. Because when with your God, nothing can tempt you. You are next to God, brothers and sisters. Nothing is going to dare to come between you and God. God has his presence. He's just tremendous. Nothing is going to come in between. I'm telling you. I've had women pass by. I struggle with lust a lot. And I would just turn my head and I'll be like, oh, no, like, it's okay. I'm with God. Or I'll look away and I'll be like, dang, God, did you see that? Like being with you is so amazing. And you start to maneuver differently. Little did I know that I'm distracting myself by talking to God and be like, did you see that, God? Like, that's crazy. I never do that. And it's only because of you. Little did I know, 30 seconds passed by. That girl's probably already on the other side of the aisle. I didn't even turn back. Why? Because I was too busy talking to God. Brothers and sisters, I'm telling you that temptation will not hit you when you are in the presence of God. It will not. It will happen after. We showed you in Matthew. It happened after he was done fasting. But I leave it at that because we're already at 54 minutes. Does anybody want to say anything else real quick?
the whole envisioning your angels though, that thing's true though, man. Like I swear to you guys, I've been going sometimes when I would go on the runs, like a couple weeks ago, I would just envision my angels with me, like running. Which I'm over there running, sometimes I'm getting tired, and I'm like, dang man, I'm freaking tired. I want to stop already. And I just keep going. These angels, I look back and they're just there. They're just running with me. And I'm like, we could keep going. We could keep going. Bro, it's freaking awesome. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. Get in there. Please get in there.
What about you? You got anything?
You were quiet. So did that answer? Oh, sorry, I know you've had a question about. Did that answer a lot or no?
It did. It did. Because I knew that the reason why people thought you should fast was not the actual reason. I just didn't have a deeper understanding of it. So like this kind of did help a bit because it just takes me back to I haven't fasted in a long time. And the one time I did fast, I admit that I did do it for the wrong reason. Now that I look back to it, I was like, oh dang, that was not it. Because it was like I was seeking something more for myself though. I wanted something more for myself. And you hear all these things like, oh, fast, and you get all the answers, you get all your prayers, you get whatever, you know? So that's what I was doing. And I started fasting for a few days. And I was listening to worship music and I was reading the word. But in between all of that, I was hungry. And I'm not even lying. Like I was thinking, I was like, dang, it's almost 6 p.m. It's almost 8 p.m. Like so whatever.
That's like every Christian right now, bro. That's every Christian.
I was like, dang, it's almost this time. I'm like, I cannot wait to eat. I cannot wait to like get out of work and go home and eat. And it was like literally once I got home, I was timing. I was like looking at the time. I was like, okay, 10 more minutes.
That's where your love was at, and not towards God. Like
I know.
Instead of be like, I can't wait to go God.
That's
Dude,
what, like
It's just
And
tremendous.
you know why I actually love the whole like idea and the whole knowledge about fasting.
You gotta say it quick though, cause we're already.
The reason why I love it is only because before I even came to the understanding of knowing of all these things about God and fasting and everything, that was always my main objective when it came to fasting. It was never to get anything answered. It was never anything. And I didn't know all these things I know now. Back then, I literally only did it because I wanted to get closer to God. I never did it for any other reason. And now that I know it, now that I know all of these things, it's like, it's amazing to know like truly where my heart was at when I was doing the fasting without the knowledge of me knowing what I know now.
I like it. But with that being said, y'all, we gotta cut it. We're trying to keep them under an hour. We're not condemning anyone. If you are just planning eating, the not eating is good. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, just add on to it. There's more to it. Find these secrets, add on to it. There was more secrets that we didn't say about the whole Daniel and this whole Daniel fast.
I was thinking about the Daniel fast.
That I won't get too much into it, but the fact that Daniel didn't fast, go read it. He was sad and everything, and then he didn't eat what they eat. It was just something that was just created through religion. But with that being said, I'll leave you guys with God loves you. God cherishes you. God is always with you.